time.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to Ideas Lab 3. Let's get started. Let's head through to the Pragma Studios.
One more time, we're gonna celebrate. Oh yeah, alright, don't stop the dancing.
Let the Ideas Lab commence. Good morning and welcome, as I said, to the Pragma Studios. Welcome to the Ideas Lab event. Thank you so much for joining us today. We've got some great talks lined up and we're really looking forward to taking you through that. Lots of speakers have put lots of hard work into coming up with some great ideas for the Ideas Lab. The Ideas Lab is now an event that's in its third year. It came about because we thought that great ideas really matter, and where we can share ideas that help drive sales, that help drive opportunity, and we're in that lovely privileged position of getting to speak to all of you, our reseller community, about what's working, what's not, what ideas are having a real impact in the market, and we wanted to share those ideas back, some of them around product, some of them around process and sales and marketing, all different areas. We used to deliver this as a real life event. And it was, we fly up to Scotland and go to Edinburgh, we drive down to Leeds, over to Gloucester and back into London. But of course today is a virtual event, as it was last year, because we know your time is precious, and we thought just getting an hour in your diary made this event hopefully have the impact you want and get the information that you need. So before I dive into to the Ideas Lab session, what I wanted to do was just give you a quick update on Pragma. We've had a fantastic 2020, 2021. We just closed out our financial year back in at the end of September. And we really did have phenomenal results. And because we're a 100% channel organisation, every single pound that we grow by is a pound that one of our reseller partners have delivered and grown by. And we are hugely grateful for all of the effort, the drive, the enthusiasm and the passion you put behind driving the Ericsson LG, iPECS portfolio and the Candio portfolios. So in 2021, in our financial year, we were 35% up, which was really just a fantastic performance. A lot of that flowed through our cloud business, and we saw that business absolutely soar, to be honest. It really did do well. Thank you to you. We saw an increase in our recurring revenue, going up by 15%, and our top line revenue by 35%. And that's even a significant improvement against post-COVID times of sort of 30% up. So really strong performance. We also launched our Candio business, which has been a huge success as well. And we've onboarded a huge number of companies, again, through all of you, through the channel. We've launched some really exciting products. Ed's going to be talking in a minute about WebRTC and the impact that's had, and iPECS 1. Helen's going to be talking about analytics and lots of other great product launches out there. And we've been adding and building the Pragma team in as well, in line with the growth, to make sure we can continue to scale. So moving on to the Ideas Lab, before we started, you know how we like a bit of a high wire act. We like to try and use the technology as much as possible. We've decided to throw some polls in today to keep a bit of interaction going. And so we've got a first poll, which is about as a bit of a test really, what you're most looking forward to in 2022. So we've got some options there. I think football coming home is one of them. Your booster jab. Hopefully everybody's able to vote. Have we got any results coming in yet? Team? The silence is obviously massively reassuring for me standing up here. So we're just waiting to see those poll results. Hopefully we'll have that in a second. This is why we've run this test, just to make sure.
We've got no one clicked anything yet.
Well, maybe you just didn't want to take part in the poll. Let's see if there's anything coming in a second. It all seemed to work beautifully in the tests, as these things always do. But let's keep going, and maybe we're having an issue with the polling, but I'm sure we can get it back on track when the ones really matter. But I know for me, it's what were the options, guys? We had football coming home. We had Ideas Lab 4.0, booster jab. Obviously really looking forward to that. And yeah, we're definitely not looking forward to another lockdown. Anyway, moving on. Let's have a look at the agenda and get that poll stuff fixed in a second. In terms of the agenda, we've got sales and marketing and lead generation, that changing world. I'm going to talk about, Ed talking about iPECS 1, Helen talking about analytics. I'm going to talk a bit about the Hub and QuickQuote, some of the tools we've been developing, marketing trends from Rich, so our resident marketing guru through our partner Get Crisp. He's going to be talking about the marketing trends he's seeing and how they impact salespeople. And then I'll come back and just give you a quick summary on the day before we wrap up, and we'll be done within an hour. I'm just going to have a look back to see if there's any update on the polling situation. Someone going to give me an update over there?
We've had a really good uptake on this. We've had one vote in.
One vote. Okay. Well, clearly this isn't capturing your imagination, maybe. So let's crack on. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is you can't attend a presentation or read an article or do anything at the moment really without someone talking to you about change. Change is the only constant. We live in a post-COVID world. What's the new normal? All of these things are constantly being talked about. And of course, the world has changed. It really is, you know, we've seen all of our environment changing, not just the technology we sell, but obviously the environment from a social perspective. Our world has been transformed. And that's very much what we want to talk about today, is how this change impacts salespeople, how it impacts sales processes, how it impacts the reality of operating in the market that we do. So I get the chance to speak to lots of resellers and understand what you're hearing in the market, what you're seeing and how your business is progressing. What I've been hearing recently is that new business is tough. That there's been a lot of focus on base and locking down your customers and ensuring that your customers are absolutely nailed down with your business and are committed, and you've got the right maybe upgrade to cloud solution in there. I'm hearing that the saving money script isn't working well. It isn't working like it used to. Going in and just talking about money savings isn't working. Flexible contracts are increasingly important, as is cloud, and transitioning customers to cloud is absolutely vital. What we also hear is new business is out there. There's huge opportunity. There's an abundance of new business opportunity. It's just engaging with it and being able to deliver that new business and get decisions made, because I think of some of the economic uncertainty we sometimes see decisions taking slightly longer, sorry. We see increasingly educated buyers. You know, we've gone from a point where nobody really was understanding cloud and some of the new technologies we're working with, like WebRTC, to suddenly, you know, my mum is happy to get on and do quizzes with her grandchildren and all that sort of good stuff, because suddenly the cloud is so prevalent in our lives for all of the reasons we know. The role of the reseller and the salesperson as trusted advisor is more important than ever before. And self-generated leads are more important than ever before. The salesperson actually creating their own opportunities, their own leads. And of course, digital transformation is vital in the conversation with the customer as they seek to change their infrastructure, change their software layers, and all of the different bits and pieces that drive digital. So I'm looking for a guide here from the AV team. Am I doing a poll, or are we moving on at speed? We're moving on at speed, so apologies for that. So as we look forward to 2022, what we want to understand is, what do we need to change? What do we need to do? What's going to give us the opportunity to win in 2022, to get those leads, convert them and understand them? And that's absolutely what today's session is about. What are the practical ideas? What are the things we can apply into our everyday working processes that will have a real impact and enable us to win in the market and to compete successfully? And so I just wanted to share a few quick ideas on those, because the idea of Ideas Lab is each of these sessions are going to be really punchy, really quick, and get across some core concepts. Firstly, I think the worlds of sales and marketing needs to come closer together than ever before. The need for integration between sales and marketing is arguably greater than it's ever been. And I think what we're going to see is the most successful people, successful salespeople, are the salespeople who can take on much of what historically has been the preserve of marketing. Historically, marketing people would be the ones thinking about brand and comms and content and all of the different aspects that a marketing person would focus on. And suddenly that's changing because a salesperson suddenly needs to think about their personal brand. They need to think about the content that they're choosing to deliver into their prospect base. How are they communicating and maintaining and nurturing leads over a long period to do that? And there's different techniques now that are much more akin to what might have traditionally been thought of as a marketing skill set. So salespeople are absolutely having, in this self-generated lead environment, having to take on all of the understanding of marketing concepts to be really, really successful and to secure the leads that they need to win. Much more of what traditionally would have been the preserve of marketing. I know Rich is going to be talking about this specifically when he goes through his session at the end. The second thing is marketing teams are changing, and yeah, this event is designed to talk to lots of salespeople, lots of marketing people out there, as well as reseller principals, etc., and people across the reseller. In terms of marketing teams, there's change there as well, and this has been happening for marketing. Was seen as the kind of creative side of the business. It was seen more as perhaps art than science. But with the transition to digital, now it's so much more about science. I can say this because I'm by background a marketing guy. You know, marketing department, many people might harshly characterize as the people who made it look pretty. They had the crayons, they were the creative people, they were creating the narratives, the stories with customers, they were ensuring the presentation is right and all of those aspects. But now the marketeer is much more about the calculator, much more about understanding data analytics, understanding insight on customers, understanding all the different aspects of how you can use the huge amount of data that's generated in the digital environments, the platforms we all know and use to get insight and to respond to customers. So crayons to calculators is the key change there. Sales processes require change and addressing as well. And in that last year, we spent a lot of time talking about remote selling. The reason we were talking about remote selling, couldn't do anything else really, because we were in lockdown the last time we had Ideas Lab, and it was our only option was to talk about how we might utilize remote sales as a process and use video. Now we're in an environment where increasingly remote selling needs to be part of and again integrated into your customer and your acquisition journey. It plays a role. I think people are perhaps less inclined to meet as freely as they used to because they're not going to be in the office 5 days a week like they used to. So getting time is more difficult. It makes it much more critical that you do get that face-to-face meeting right, and preparing and building connection beforehand remotely can absolutely help in that process. There are some really good ideas from last year's session, which I recommend if you want to go back and have a look at, about how you might utilize remote selling. We did a session with Dan Donders, the CEO at SoConnect, who talked about how he transitioned his business. But fundamentally, looking at your sales process and finding the place that remote or video selling can fit into that, it's not about either or, it's about both and making sure that fits in. The next thing I wanted to talk about is this kind of change in mindset that I think businesses are going through. And the idea that we're moving from the traditional sales funnel, where you put something in the top and it would fall out, to something that's much more akin to a flywheel that's kind of generating energy and maintaining momentum and spinning. And the faster you put those feeds into it, the faster that flywheel will go. And that's much more about putting the customer absolutely at the heart of your business and making sure that there's no friction in that customer journey so they can flow seamlessly through departments and onboarding, and that your customers become advocates and vitally become one of your biggest sources for recruiting you new customers. And that's a really significant kind of shift in thinking, I think. So you can see here how this chart, and this is directly kind of some of HubSpot's thinking, where they talk about the shift from funnel to flywheel. And what I wanted to kind of really pick out here is this idea that investments you make in creating happy customers suddenly move away from just thinking about retaining that customer to actually creating new customers, because the investment you're making in delivering an outstanding customer experience and creating an advocate who will recommend you, that will deliver you new customers through referrals and through case studies and through all of those things. Suddenly customer experience is about new business and new business opportunity by creating customers who truly love your business and what you do for them and are integral to their business. And so, of course, as I said, customer experience is essential to that journey, and making sure you can adequately invest in customer experience to drive that will create that flywheel spinning faster and faster and delivering better and better results. And one of the sessions today, I know Helen's going to talk a lot about customer experience and the link that it has to iPECS analytics, because clearly voice is such a key touch point, as she's going to talk through. So customer experience is a critical element in that. And then I know Ed's also going to be talking about the importance of stakeholders and understanding stakeholder management and making sure that iPECS 1, as the example he's going to use, is really addressing the needs of different stakeholders in the business, understanding that and making sure, again, the customer experience we deliver is outstanding on that product. So I just want to leave you with one final thought before I hand over to Ed, and that's very much about, if you can align your reason for being with your customers' success, then you and your business will absolutely thrive. And I fundamentally believe that the happier you can create your customers, the better customer journey you can create, the more customers you'll have as advocates, and your business will absolutely thrive. So that's the first kind of idea and session for today to kick things off. Hopefully that sets up some of the other conversations and talks we're going to be doing. And I'm now handing over to Ed.
Thank you, Will.
There you go.
Thank you very much. Very good. Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all doing okay. So the idea that I'm going to cover today is how iPECS 1 and WebRTC technology can address the growing demand for simple collaboration and hybrid working, as Will said, whilst thinking about the customer experience. But before we do that, before we get to the idea, let's look at the background to WebRTC and give you a bit of a brief history. So let's look at the journey of WebRTC as a technology. It was designed to help developers add real-time communications to web browsers and applications to enable voice and video inside a browser. It was first announced back in 2011 and has grown steadily since then. By 2016, 2 billion browsers had WebRTC capability, and then in 2020 this massively accelerated as the pandemic hit. In 2021, WebRTC was officially standardised, and in January of that same year we launched iPECS 1 to the UK market. Ericsson were early adopters in the WebRTC technology. They've been there from the very beginning, with Ericsson Labs been involved right from 2010 beyond. There was a major milestone recognised by Ericsson in 2013. They made the world's first cross-browser video call all the way back in February 2013. It was also the world's first WebRTC compatible browser for mobile devices with both iOS and Android support. So that foundation and that early adoption from Ericsson gives us great foundations for the technology that iPECS 1 is built on. But who else uses WebRTC? Where may have you encountered it in your daily lives? Well, many of the world's biggest companies and applications are now using WebRTC technology that you may not be aware of, and I'm sure you're familiar with some of these brands I'm going to briefly talk about. Google Hangouts or Google Meets, one of the first collaboration platforms to use WebRTC, and they've been using this technology for their internal communication in Google for over 10 years. Facebook Messenger, a huge platform that I'm sure many of you use. It has more than 1.3 billion people using it every month, built on WebRTC technology. House Party. Now House Party is huge amongst the younger generation. Sadly that doesn't include me anymore, but I did start to use House Party in the first lockdown as a way to talk easily to my friends. I'm sure many of you did the same as well. It's now used for 20 million minutes globally, every day. Huge. GoToMeeting, something you'll all be familiar with as well. This has been using WebRTC technology for over 5 years, allowing people to join sessions from browsers easily from anywhere. And finally, we've got Discord, a social media platform designed for gamers originally, but now many other people use it, and it has 150 million users per month. So these are some huge brands, some global brands that are utilising this technology every day for the foundation of what they do. So let's look at the advantages WebRTC can bring to you and your customers. So first of all, ease of deployment. This is key for that customer experience, and I'll talk more about this in the next few slides. The improved customer experience gives you a user-friendly interface to provide quick and easy ways of communicating with colleagues and clients. Also, real-time collaboration. There's big need for this now, as we all know. It allows you to video and chat to people wherever they're working from. And finally, they need to be cost-effective, and I'm going to talk about how you can easily do this on a per-user, per-month basis. So the way we work has changed dramatically over the last 20 months. Many businesses now adopt a hybrid working method, so we need to give people the tools to work easily from anywhere. iPECS 1 and WebRTC embraces this change and this opportunity. So let's look at embracing that change. Let's utilise the benefits of WebRTC within iPECS 1 to provide a simple, user-friendly UC tool that can be used anywhere. It's supported on many different platforms. So it's supported on Windows laptops and PCs, Apple Macs, iOS and Android, all the platforms that you and your customers use. Deployment is key. Installation's changed over the last 20 months. You don't always have access to all the devices that you need to install applications on the day of install. And I know many of our customers even started to do remote installation, which has continued even now we're out of lockdown. So how can we make this experience easy for your customers and for you? Well, with iPECS 1, none of this matters. We don't need to install software on any machines. When a user's made live, they receive a welcome email with a link and a QR code. If they want to run iPECS 1 on a laptop or a Mac, they simply click on the link, Chrome will open, and they're straight into their application with no credentials to fill in. It's all pre-populated. And also, if you want to run on a smart device, simply download the app from the App Store, scan that QR code, and again, seamlessly get access without needing to add any details. So customer experience, again, something we've mentioned many times. We have multiple devices that we work from these days. It's not just one device. As no software needs to be installed, iPECS 1 allows a user to easily choose which device they want to work from and seamlessly switch whenever they need to. Under one license, you can run up to 3 different devices. All devices are synced with no issues, so when you're switching from laptop to mobile or mobile to laptop throughout the day, you don't need to worry. It's all there and working very easily. Collaboration. We all now chat with our colleagues, video with our colleagues much more than we used to. So iPECS 1 allows you to simply collaborate via that browser. So you can chat with colleagues, you can share files, you can share images, you can manage your notifications. You can easily see the presence and availability of everyone within your business. You can create video calls with up to 15 internal and external parties with a waiting room to admit participants. And finally, when you're live in that video call, you can share your screen, present files, raise your hand to ask questions. A really seamless experience. But the market's more competitive than it ever has been, so we need to think about the competition and what we can do to address this competition. In a market that's more competitive than it's ever been, we need to empower businesses with the tools to stay ahead of everybody else. Managing inbound calls proactively as possible is the key to excellent customer service. This is where iPECS 1 and our CRM integration comes in to maximise the investment your customers have made in their CRM, and it's often a fair investment, so they really do need to maximise that opportunity. So with our CRM plugin, we can integrate to over 130 different CRMs now. This includes many leading platforms such as HubSpot, Salesforce and Dynamics. We can give you inbound screen popping so you always know who's calling. You may even know why they're calling. If we can pop the full record onto the screen upon an inbound call, all the interaction with that customer previously is there on the screen before you pick the phone up, meaning you're in a great position to be able to talk to that customer easily straight away. And finally, from an outbound point of view, we can provide click to dial from any application, including the contact record within that CRM. So something I mentioned earlier was cost, and the costs need to be flexible. So they are very flexible. Everything is available on a simple 30-day per user per month cost, easily flexed up or flexed down, and all versions of iPECS 1 now even come with a 60-day free trial. This is great for proof of concepts with customers or as upsell opportunities for existing customers. Simply activate iPECS 1, select the trial period anywhere from 1 to 60 days, and billing will automatically start when the trial period ends. It's really simple to include this in every sale. It drives your recurring revenue and the value of the sale. So let's look to the future. iPECS 1 only came to the market 10, almost 11 months ago, and we've already launched 3 versions of the product. There's a call control version, a full UC version, and now a collaboration version, allowing that video that I mentioned earlier. The product also has a strong development plan over the next couple of years, including web chat, CRM integration for Apple Macs, ACD functionality, and enhanced mobile and contacts integration. So I just wanted to finish by talking about the opportunity. We think there's great opportunity in 2022. Cloud is a driver between businesses' growing needs to support remote and hybrid working. Cloud, collaboration and digital transformation products will be key to winning new business. And our idea is that iPECS 1, supported and backed up by that WebRTC technology, are great tools to address this opportunity. IT managers and engineers will love the ease of deployment. Users will love how easy the product is to use, and it will differentiate you from the competition. All of this while driving your recurring revenue and the value of the sale. So let's continue to win with iPECS 1 and WebRTC in 2022. Thank you very much. So I'm just going to hand back to Will now. Thank you, Will.
Thanks, Ed. So great job there, Ed, and great articulation of the value proposition for iPECS 1 and why it's such a critical component in your kind of toolkit to be able to get out and win opportunities in this new market. I wanted to talk about the hub, a recent investment we've made in building out our digital capability to support you in being able to access the information you need, the tools you need online. So we've recently changed over and launched the hub as a portal to you. Hopefully you've all seen that. Essentially, what is the hub? It's the place that you go to that's at the absolute center, the hub of everything you need for interacting with us on Ericsson, LG, iPECS products and around our product proposition. So in there is all sorts of great stuff, and I'm just going to take a couple of moments to talk that through with you. But the idea here and why we included this is because we recognize that you being efficient is absolutely critical to you being successful. So you having access to the information you need when you need it in a really, really quick and easy way, and using that phrase kind of frictionless way so that you can very easily access information is absolutely critical. So I'm just going to run through some of the aspects of the hub. When you log into the hub, you can firstly see a screen that gives you the ability to book demos with our team and do that straight into their diaries. Their diaries are integrated back into the hub, so you can see when they're available and book demos or meetings in with them whenever you want, so they're kind of accessible to you. You can book training, you can see news articles, you can get all the information you need in those areas. Then the next big area here is the library. And this is where we put all of the content that supports our products. And it's very, very simple to use. It's got the sort of tree structure that you'd expect. But more importantly, you can just put in a simple search term like 1080 and it will return all the information we have on the 1080. It'll take you to a page about that, giving you all the documentation, the videos, everything you need, and a succinct summary of the proposition. So the library is a really, really good area for you to get everything that you need. And then what we actually did is created what we call My Library, which in this situation is actually your library. It's literally something that's personal to you, we allocate space to, where you might want to save documents within this portal area for you and for your team that you've created. So it could be that you've recreated our brochures, or we've recreated brochureware or content with your logo on, and this library will then be specific to you and those brochures will show within that area. So it's a really, really good way of stuff that's just for you and just for your business. The next is the video library. We absolutely recognize that video content is more important than ever, and again, really simple to access, really simple to find. And the video, like all of the other content that we've created, we also work to think, how are you going to share that? So what we've done is when you log into the portal, when it's first set up for you, in fact, we've done this, we've put your logo in there. So it's branded with your logo and it's your environment. Then when you create a share link for a video item or a document or whatever it might be, you can send that share link directly to your customer, and it will be with your logo, your brand, and everything on that. And that's really, really simple to do from your mobile phone, from your iPad, from your desktop, however you want to do it. It's incredibly simple to share content to for your customers, because we recognize when you get that call saying, can you send me this? You need to be able to action it and deliver it really quickly. As well as the main video library, which is about content for you, there's also content that we've created and launched in the last year, which is all about content for the end user. That's about how to use product features on the cloud. And we again make that really simple to use. So if someone rings you and say, oh, can you just remind me how I can set up and use Auto Attendant? You can go to here, search Auto Attendant, find that video, send it through as a sharing link, and they've got all the information that they need. So again, equipping and enable salespeople to handle any customer request or inquiry and respond to it quickly and easily. We of course have got all the marketing content in here, so everything you'd need to build out campaigns to enable you to address end user needs and build up your pipeline. So again, really, really simple. There's a heading called marketing. You click on that, you're in, and you've got every bit of information that you could possibly want and need to drive campaigns. And then lastly, before I move on, the other area we've invested in is a tool that we call QuickQuote. And this is designed to enable you as a salesperson to quickly and easily prepare a quotation using simple fields that you can add on your mobile phone or your iPad or whatever to create the customer configuration and quotation. You can build your own products in. It's completely personalized to you. The proposal that will come out at the end of it will carry your branding, your logo, your company information, And we've created it in such a way that it's completely configurable and ability to personalize that content to you. So QuickQuote is a great tool to again drive your efficiency. So speak to anybody in our sales team or myself or any of us to understand how we can embed QuickQuote in your organization. And the other thing we've done with that is made it really easy to integrate into applications, so that if you've got existing processes and applications, QuickQuote can become part of that, part of your process, and maybe part of your CRM. So absolutely speak to our team about that, and we'll of course be sharing stuff after this. So I wanted to deliver that as a really quick update. The idea is all around making you efficient and creating content that's frictionless, easy to share, and easy to inform your end users. So I'm going to hand over now to Helen. So thank you very much. Over to Helen.
Thank you very much. So the idea I'd like to explore with you is putting the customer experience at the heart of a business. Will did a great job earlier of positioning this for us, but customer experience is shaped and defined at every touch point between a business and their customer. So it's really, really important for a business to understand how their customer service is measuring up to their customers' expectations and to develop a strategy to make sure they can exceed expectations at every opportunity. We are all, has that clicked on? Sorry. We're all customers and consumers, and I'm be really surprised if I did a survey and asked all of you if you'd experienced poor customer service. I know I have. I've had a very poor experience recently with Sky, a company that professed to give excellent customer service. They tell me that I'm very important to them. They tell me I'm a VIP customer in all of the communication that they send to me. They also tell me they'll monitor my calls and the recordings and make their changes to the way that they support their customers based on the way that their agents are looking after their customers. Unfortunately, recently that hasn't measured up to my expectation and the experience that I've been having with them. There are hundreds and hundreds of surveys out there as well that demonstrate customers' preferences in the way that they want to communicate with the businesses that they transact businesses with. And although multimedia does have its place, and I'm sure there are lots of ways that customers want to be able to maybe chat or using social media, for example, in this day and age, there's an awful lot of survey results out there that demonstrate the fact that customers prefer and like to speak to a live person. You couldn't speak to one that isn't live, obviously. I think a lot of this also comes down to the kind of transaction that's taking place at that point. And it's often the times that things are very complex or maybe more lucrative, the more expensive transactions that we make where we want to actually speak to somebody, not just do it online. Some of the research that I found was that 40% of customers want to speak to a person over the telephone when they're dealing with a company. 77% of respondents to a survey by New Voice Media believe that a phone call was the most effective way to get an answer quickly, and 25% of callers give up after they've been kept on hold for too long, all of which would make a really poor customer experience. If we look at this in a couple of different ways, so first of all, where we're trying to acquire new customers, Will mentioned this earlier and the importance of this and the fact that actually the customer experience that you're giving your customers will define how they're going to recommend you going forward. But the experience a customer has during their buying phase will play a big part in their decision of who to buy from. And if they experience poor customer service, it doesn't matter what your cost is and how you stack up to the competition on price, they're unlikely to buy from you if they've experienced poor customer service throughout that transaction. In fact, 61% of people who search on a mobile believe it's important that they can call a business when they're in the purchase phase of their buying cycle. So being able to go from that research phase into the I now want to buy, hitting the phone to actually call and speak to somebody. And one of the areas here that we've used over the years is the ability to be able to track and understand those unreturned missed calls. Businesses in the UK lose £30 billion of lost revenue every year due to missed calls, and analytics can play a really big part in helping us make sure that customers can get back to those customers, exceed their expectations of customer service. We can also use analytics when it comes to marketing campaigns. So if we're starting to do a promotion, maybe we're advertising, maybe there's other ways in which we're trying to attract new customers. If we use a unique DDI, we can track how many people responded to the advertising that we put out there, whether it might have been a campaign that we were running, and understand the return on investment of however it cost us to do that campaign in the first place. The other side of this is customer retention, and understanding the customer experience is equally, if not more important, in retaining customers. Everyone will profess to give excellent customer service at the point of attracting a new customer, but delivering on that promise is another thing entirely. 64% of people say customer experience is more important to them than price. So there's a massive danger if the promise isn't met. And 66% of customers will switch companies because of poor customer service. So again, retaining those customers is massively important. So there's been a lot of talk since the pandemic about new normal and hybrid working, but really none of this is new. We've been selling the technology for many, many years, and actually the last time I was office-based was 1996. We had a thought about 1996 when we were rehearsing this yesterday, and a few things came to mind. First of all, in 1996, it was the year that the Nintendo 64 was launched. The Spice Girls were #1 with Wannabe. Charles and Diana got divorced, and Alex, our marketing manager, was 2. And the job that I was taking at that time was my first job working with Ericsson LG, well, with LG at the time, selling the GSX and GDK. So products that didn't support the technology, but the company I worked for embraced the fact that I couldn't do that job working from an office. I had to do that remotely, and they trusted me to do that. So what's really changed at the moment is the need for the company to allow people to work from home. In the past, it's been very, very difficult for owners and managers to trust their staff to work from home. They liked to see the sea of people out on their shop floor. They could hear the phones ringing. They could see how quickly people were answering those phones. And in their mind, they were giving good customer service because they had an idea that that was what they were delivering. But now all of their staff have been working from their remote little offices individually, and they can't hear those phones ringing. They can't see what's happening. So analytics is the thing that's going to allow us to get those managers and directors to trust that people are working and doing their job and providing that customer service to their customers, because it can give them real data to allow them to do that. Let's look at that data. So really what we need to be able to do is provide them with all of the information that's giving them exactly what's happening across their business. So they don't have to rely on seeing that sea of people across their business. And let's face it, gut feel is just not a trusted measurement of good customer service. So if we can gather the data, if we can review the data and understand what that means in terms of the customer service and the experience that I'm delivering, they will be able to make the appropriate changes to their processes and consistently exceed their customers' expectations. Another side of this also is being able to understand the way that their staff are performing, to be able to reward those that are overachieving, identify those that maybe aren't quite there, and help them and give them the support to get them to that point where they're equally overachieving as well. So really positive, both from the business owner themselves, but also the experience that they're giving their customers as well. So this brings me to introduce you to the latest addition to our portfolio. We've had iCall Suite working alongside our cloud platform for some time, but there's been a few areas where it's falling a little bit short. It hasn't really been developing and giving some of the features and functionality that you need to be able to win and provide the right solution for your customers. It hasn't really kept pace with the evolution of the cloud platform. So what we are delighted to introduce to you today is iPECS Analytics, the all-new reporting and monitoring tool from Ericsson LG. There's so many positives about this product for us. First of all, it's an Ericsson LG product itself. It's got a defined roadmap and a set of people that are working alongside the people that are developing the cloud platform so that the product will continue to grow and evolve as the cloud platform underlying does as well. It's browser based. The customers will be able to access their data from wherever they need to, whether that's on a tablet, as you can see in the picture, or a web browser, from any device that they need to be able to see that data from. The pricing's brilliant. It's in the price list already. If you haven't already seen it, it's there for you to see right now. And it's priced to sell in our competitive market. Also priced so that you continue to retain really great gross margin. And it's a brilliant, fantastic value-added opportunity for you to grow and add value to the sales that you're doing with your customers. So it's going to help you grow your recurring revenue and that all-important average revenue per user. So just have a quick look at a bit more detail here. So there are two different levels within iPECS Analytics. There's standard and there's advanced. In the standard version, you have the ability to monitor things like extensions and DDIs. So you can drill into exactly what your users are doing or what's happening based on the DDI transactions into your business. The other option is advanced, which has all of the standard features, but it also adds the ability to monitor hunt groups and ACD, and importantly gives us the ability to monitor live ACD transactions, how many people are queuing, how many agents are logged in, and interact with the ACD functionality that's built into the cloud platform itself. One thing to note here is that the two applications can't be mixed. So when you set up or sell to a customer, you need to decide if it's the standard option or the advanced option that you're offering them and price it appropriately. So the pricing is based on how many supervisors that the customer has, so one minimum, but you can add additional on a per month cost, and then also how many endpoints that customer has got, how many extensions. So from a pricing perspective, you need to take that into consideration. But from a provisioning perspective, it's much, much easier to do because we just order the supervisor license and then the system automatically provisions all of the extensions that need to be monitored underneath that. So again, much, much simpler to the experience that we've had more recently with iCall Suite. And I'm also going to touch on here the fact that it is also going to be available with trial licenses. So Ed gave us the overview of the trial licenses and how they work with iPECS 1 a little earlier. It's exactly the same with iPECS Analytics. You'll be able to set your customer up for a 60-day trial, and when the 60 days expire, the charging will start. So a fantastic opportunity to install it with every customer that goes live, get them to interact with the data, and once they start relying on it, it will be much, much more difficult for them to remove that and say that they don't want to pay for it. So a great, great opportunity to start to attach more applications to the customers that you're selling the cloud solution to. So that brings me to come and show you a live demonstration. I didn't want to just put slides, screenshots up of what it looks like. I felt it was really important for you to see that this is actually live. We have this product right now connected to the cloud platform. There's a small controlled introduction taking place so that we're being able to test that out with a number of partners. And it is also attached to our live platform. So I'm just going to pop over here and show you what this looks like. So first of all, I'm just going to wait and make sure that you are seeing the screen that I'm seeing. Okay, so this is iPECS Analytics running live. I'm going to just give you a little bit of a tour because some of the features on the page are the same as we go through. So first of all, what we can see at the top here is a little box that says filter. So if I click on the little plus button, it'll open up here, giving me the ability to choose what it is that I want to filter by. So for example, I'm going to pop and have a little look at what happened yesterday, and I'm also going to change and look at all calls rather than just trunk or extension. But you can see there's a few other options here that we can look at. Just apply that and it will update. Okay, so it's logged me out, which is marvelous. This is because it was running alongside me doing the presentation, and we just need to log back in. So just bear with me, everyone. Joys of a live dem. Okay. Nearly there. Just when you need your laptop to run slowly. I'm gonna have a word with Alex. He was supposed to keep this running while I wasn't here. Okay, so let's just go back to there again. So I'm just going to change that to, again, look for yesterday, pop and make that all calls, click apply, and it will update. There we go. So here's all the data. So now what that's done is it's replaced all of the current today's data with yesterday's. Not liking the total calls, that's a bit scary. And what you'll see down here is we've got a ribbon across the top which is giving us the totals. Another little icon that you'll see is this download image. So at any point, if there's anything here that you want to be able to keep, maybe you want to take an export to pop into a report that you're providing somebody, you can hit the download button and it will allow you to do that. You also have the option to annotate it, so that when you're downloading those pictures, you can annotate them so that you can make a note of what that actually meant at that time. The other thing is when you hover over any of the areas, it also starts to give you the totals. And at the bottom, what you can see right now is a few boxes that currently don't have any data in them. So what we can do is click on the area at the top, the KPI that we want to report on. So let's just look at outgoing calls. And that's now giving us the information available here. So the total number of calls, we've got a breakdown of the top 5 extensions, and we've also got a breakdown of the top 5 DDIs. So this is looking at the outgoing data. If we look at incoming data, we can see that here. Again, it's now switched, and we can now see all of the information based on the internal information as well. So hopefully that's what you'll see here is it's massively easy to use, which is brilliant. So what I'm just going to show you now is dive into the reporting. I'm not going to go through all of this. As you can see, it's expanded a menu option here, which is showing all of the different types of report that we have available to us. And remember that each of those reports can be filtered by the day, date and time, the user, the DDI, any of the different areas that we might want to look at. Let's just dive into a couple of them just so you get a feel for what that looks like. So here we're going to look at the extension summary. So it's just going to refresh the data for us and give us an extension summary. This is today, so this is current, what's happening here right now. And again, what we can see down here is a little breakdown of the users, as well as having all of the different charts and information. So lots and lots and lots of information there for us to view. Another little area that I'm just going to touch on that I mentioned earlier is the all-important unreturned missed calls. So this is going to give us a list of unreturned missed calls. It'd be nice to think we haven't got any today, but let's just wait and see what happens. And the other thing I should also mention while it's refreshing is that any of this information can also be scheduled. So any of the reports and data that are going to be important to each of the different users and departments, that information can be scheduled so that any of that information can be called back. So what you can see here is a few calls through to Alex, Mark, me and Ed. So we've all got missed calls, so we can now identify who those calls were from, get back to those people and make sure that we're exceeding everyone's customer expectation. And then the final bit I'm just going to show you on this little section is about the agents, because I talked about the fact that you're going to have the ability to offer this in conjunction with ACD. So you'd expect there to be some agent information here. So let's pop and look at the call summary. And that will give us a quick view of the agent summary, albeit that actually live on our platform we don't have a lot of ACD functionality running, but it will just give you an idea that it's actually there. So here we've got a load of hunt group data that is available to us that we can see in there. So this is the sales hunt group actually, which isn't an ACD group, but you can see that the information is just as important for a normal group as it would be for ACD. Now my final little area that I want to show you here is the dashboard functionality. So as with the reports, it's expanded and given me a lot of options. And if I were just to filter on this one here, first of all, the company wallboard, that will give us a really, really nice overview of all of the information as a snapshot of what's been happening within Pragma today. And I'm not going to go through every dashboard, but there is one other dashboard I'm going to show you after we've looked at this one. So just taking a little while to update. This is okay, so there we go. So here's the company wallboard. So lots of nice big letters, numbers to tell us exactly what's going on at the moment, with some summary information down here that I can hover over and get a feel for exactly what's going on. So this isn't a feel that's not my gut feel, this is actually telling me exactly what's happening within Pragma right now. And then my final little area here is the Pragma sales dashboard. So I've got the ability to create my own dashboards. So instead of worrying about or utilizing one of the predefined wallboards, I can completely create my own dashboard. And that also gives me the ability to brand it. It also gives me the ability to use company colors and be able to make sure that I'm reporting and monitoring all of the really, really important information that we want to see. So I'm just going to pop a few things across here and make that full screen, and that will then update and give us all of the information that is available to us. So right here we can see now all of the information that's current. So we've got a breakdown of an overview of the sales department, the orders and provisioning team. We can see what's happening on the main number, and also we can see what's happening as a group summary. And then over here on the right hand side we've got some defined options that we're looking at for individual salespeople. So as you can see, the sales team here, and it just really looks appealing, really easy to set up, and hopefully you can see the importance of what customers would gain from having this product connected to them. So that's the end of the demonstration that I just wanted to talk you through. Hopefully that gives you an idea of exactly what we're going to be delivering to you. In terms of release, we're expecting this to be available around January time. We're obviously in the trial phase at the moment where we may identify little tweaks and changes that need to be made, but we'll keep you updated. And obviously if you have got any customers or information or requirements that you have right now, please feel free to speak to your Pragma account manager. We'd be delighted to engage with you and help you understand that. So just to finish off here, I just wanted to say that, you know, I think that the challenge really is to make iPECS analytics the beating heart of the customer experience. And hopefully by asking those right questions, you'll be able to reveal the areas that the customers can't measure and be able to demonstrate to them by delivering iPECS analytics how they'll be able to make sure that their processes, their procedures are meeting the customer's expectations of their customer service. And for you, it will build great value into your sale and help you stand out from the competition by delivering a solution, not just a telephone system. So thanks very much for your time. I'm going to now hand over to Rich, who's going to take us through his little section here. Okay.
Thanks,
Thank
Helen.
you.
Okay, thanks. So today, what I'm going to try and do in 10 minutes is give you some kind of really useful information that you can take away and start generating leads. So the main thing we're going to be talking about here is leveraging referrals. So what do I mean by leveraging referrals? When we talk about leveraging referrals, it's about using positive client feedback and client testimonials to your advantage to win new business. One of the key ways of doing this is via LinkedIn. So people can get started with this straight after this demonstration, I'm going to take you through the key areas around LinkedIn. So for those of you who don't use LinkedIn, we're just going to talk about why it's the platform to use. Obviously, there's over 700 million users on LinkedIn. More than 61 million of those are actually decision makers, and the amount of conversions and you get is actually 3 times on LinkedIn for when you look at it against other social platforms like Facebook and Instagram. Another major benefit of using LinkedIn is that you can bypass the gatekeeper. So essentially you can do some advanced searching and you can find the exact person from within that business who's going to make a buying decision. So that could be a finance director or an operations director. So the great thing about this as well is that you can actually use your clients, your existing clients, to your advantage and look at their connections, which we'll talk about in a bit more detail shortly. So just to give you a bit of an example and talk about the concept of leveraging referrals. So the great thing here is if you're, for instance, these are some quite large companies we're using examples, but Virgin Galactic. So if you have a service within Virgin Galactic as a telecoms or a tech company, then you may have SpaceX looking at Virgin Galactic system going, well, that looks great, you know, how do we look to use that? The other thing here is obviously using the good feedback, you can kind of position yourself as an expert in that field. So here's some examples I'm going to use for our business at Get Crisp. So we've had a 5-star review from Pragma. So what I've done then is looked at the 5-star Google review, made sure I'm connected with Will on LinkedIn. Once I'm connected with Will, I can then see how many connections he's got. So we can then click on those connections and actually have a look at other clients that he's connected with who may be interested in the same service. This could be due to industry. You know, we may want to look at other telecoms and technology companies that Will's connected with. This may be location based. So for you guys who deal with the SMB market, you know, you may want to look at other shops in the same area as one of your existing clients, for an example. Once you've kind of determined who that is that you want to connect with, find the finance director or the operations director, you can then send them a connection request with an email. This is when you can really use the benefit of your 5-star reviews, which I'm sure you've all got plenty of. So we can really leverage the referral here. So we'll start talking to the potential customer about the work that we've done for Will at Pragma. So we can start with saying, hi, I see you know Will and the team at Pragma. The other great thing with LinkedIn is you can attach images to those messages as well. They're a lot more visible, you know, a lot more appealing. So what works really well, and we found with other telecoms clients works really well, is actually taking a screenshot of that 5-star review. That could be from your website or from Google Reviews or Trustpilot, wherever that review's been left. We then add that review into the message and then put a bit of an action for the client at the bottom there as well. So ask them if they've got time to speak or a few minutes available. So that is one method. There's some other methods that you can use as well as InMail, which I'll talk about in a small bit of detail. You can also share video messages, which is obviously another great way of engaging with a new or potential client. This might be doing a 30-second kind of elevator pitch and talking specifically about that customer and how you can help them and their requirements. The other good thing with LinkedIn is in certain circumstances, you can navigate to your privacy settings within LinkedIn, download all of your connections, and on some occasions, not all, there'll also be an email address included in that download, which is another really useful way of bypassing the gatekeeper and speaking directly to that finance or operations director who's going to make a buying decision. So, you know, find what works for you. There's not a strict structure to this. What we do find is, you know, give it a bit of time. So from initial contact, you want about a 5-week period. So that initial contact will be that InMail message that we looked at the beginning. So that's where you can really leverage the referral, send that review over to them. Then follow that up. This could be via a video message or a call. Whatever you find works best for you. Give the client or potential client some breathing space. You know, they may be on holiday or away and they don't want to come back to being bombarded with sales messages. So give them a week or so breathing space. Make sure you then follow that up. And then on the 5th week, it's kind of a last ditch attempt here. So what we've found works really well is either adding a bit of humour into the final message. So if you have their email address, you know, find what works for you, send a animated GIF, or another good thing that works is send a final InMail message. This could be you actually screenshotting their profile or their company's profile and just writing a little bit of blurb about, you know, why you think you can help them. So the other thing to talk about here is really don't be afraid to get your personality across. The theory we use, if you're happy to sit in a meeting with someone and you'd happily say that, then you're fine to share that on social. So yeah, you know, if you're happy to say anything in front of them, just make sure you share and get your personality across in those messages. You know, feel free to use a video message technique if you're confident enough to do so. If not, traditional calls and email is fine, whatever you feel comfortable with. But make sure you're professional. Obviously, the thing with LinkedIn is there's always going to be a paper trail for that. So just make sure you're professional at all times. So it's not just about LinkedIn. Although I've covered LinkedIn on this topic, I wanted to make sure there was some useful information in here that you can action straight away. But leveraging referrals can be used in a traditional sales sense or traditional marketing sense. If you're at networking meetings, make sure you're talking to people about similar clients you've done work for, and talking about the good experience they've had. If you're on a webinar, make sure you show your 5-star reviews all across that webinar, as I've done here. And this process works. We've got proof from a number of clients that this is really working for them at the moment, and it's just something to sit alongside your normal sales process. So we've used a bit of a testimonial here. So Tom Cheddar at Candio, that I'm sure most of you know, he went from a lead gen approach via cold calling, which he'd typically create 2 appointments for 80 calls. He's now sending around 30 messages out and getting 2 appointments for those 30 messages. So I kind of want to challenge all of you guys to give this a go. You don't have to spend hours on this, and we're not saying scrap your normal sales approach, because it obviously works, but just have this running alongside. So kind of a 20-minute daily challenge we want to set to see who can generate the first lead using this method. First person to generate a lead over this method, just drop us a message in and we'll send something nice to you out in the mail. A lot of people use the 9 before 9 technique. So if you are commuting, if you're using public transport, try and create 9 interactions before 9 AM, just on that kind of dead time in your journey. That could be researching your customers' connections and sending that initial email, or doing some of those follow-up messages if you've already got in contact with them. And that's all for my 10-minute presentation there. So hopefully there's some good stuff for you to take away, and I'll hand back over to Will.
Thanks, Rich.
Thank you.
Another great presentation. So I really hope that you have all enjoyed today. You've got a lot out of it. You feel that the ideas that we've shared are good. So just a quick recap. We started off with me talking about the kind of changing sales and marketing landscape. Then Ed did a great job in talking about WebRTC and iPECS 1 and the role that can play in differentiating the proposition and looking after the stakeholders. Helen then did a fantastic job. In fact, no, then it was me. I got the order wrong there. I talked about the hub and the role it can play in making you more efficient. Then it was Helen who actually talked about iPECS analytics and the importance of customer experience, linking back to the stuff I talked about at the beginning as well. And then finally, Rich talked about how you can use and embrace LinkedIn as a platform alongside many others to really make a difference to generating your own self-generated leads and creating that pipeline. We've just drifted over the hour. We are hugely thankful for the amount of time you've given us today. Hope it's been useful. Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you all soon. Mic drop.